The little boy's cry cut through the roar of engines like a siren in the storm. His tiny hands trembled as he pointed toward the distant factory, his voice breaking. "They broke my toy! And they hit my mom." For a moment, the world froze. The bikers, a dozen rough men and women in black leather, their tattoos glinting under the sun, exchanged looks that spoke louder than words. Then, without saying a thing, their leader twisted his throttle, the engine growling like thunder. The others followed. The road shook as they rode toward the smoke-stained factory that had just made a terrible mistake. The boy's name was Tommy. He was only 7, small for his age, but bright-eyed, with a heart full of trust. His mother, Elena, worked long shifts at the local toy factory, a place where laughter was supposed to be made, but where joy had long died. The workers were underpaid, overworked, and treated like machines. Yet Elena stayed, because she needed to, for Tommy. That morning, Tommy had come to surprise her. He had saved up his little coins and bought a second-hand toy truck from a thrift shop. "It's like the ones you make, Mommy," he'd said proudly. Elena had smiled and hugged him tight, tears stinging her eyes. But happiness for them never lasted long. When they reached the factory gate, 2 men from security, rough, careless, and drunk on power, stopped them. They didn't like the idea of a worker's brat hanging around. One sneered, grabbed the toy, and tossed it to the ground. "No toys for poor kids," he spat, stomping on it until the wheels cracked. Tommy cried out, trying to stop him. Then Elena stepped forward, a mother's instinct stronger than fear, and slapped the guard's hand away. The man's face darkened. He hit her, hard. Tommy screamed, the guards laughed. And the other workers, behind the fence, turned away, not because they didn't care, but because fear had become their master long ago. But one man saw everything. Hawk, the leader of the Iron Hearts, a biker group known more for their loud engines than soft hearts, had been passing through town. He'd stopped for a bite near the factory gates. He saw the whole thing, the broken toy, the slap, the tear-streaked face of a boy holding his mother, and something inside him stirred. Maybe it was memory. Maybe it was regret. Maybe it was the part of him that remembered being that boy once. Helpless, watching the world crush what little good he had left. "Who did this?" Hawk asked, his voice low, calm, dangerous. Tommy pointed toward the factory. "They broke my toy, and they hit my mom. That was all it took." Engines ignited like thunder rolling through the earth. The factory loomed ahead, gray, cold, and heartless. The workers inside paused as the deep rumble of motorcycles grew louder, closer, like a storm descending. Within minutes, the Ironhearts surrounded the front gates. Hawk dismounted first, his boots hitting the ground with purpose. The guards sneered. "This ain't your business, old man," one spat. Hawk looked him in the eye. It is now. When Hawk's fist landed, it wasn't just revenge, it was justice. The guards went down fast, their arrogance replaced by fear. The factory manager, a man who'd built his empire on other people's pain, rushed out yelling. But his words died in his throat when Hawk stepped toward him. "You think you can treat people like dirt?" Hawk said, his voice steady. "You think it's okay to hit a woman in front of her child?" The manager stammered. I didn't know." "You knew," Hawk interrupted. "You just didn't care." Behind him, the other bikers helped the workers, people too tired to believe in hope anymore, to their feet. Some cried. Some clapped. For the first time, they felt seen. Elena, shaken but standing, walked forward. "Please, don't cause trouble," she whispered. "They'll shut down the factory. Everyone will lose their jobs." Hawk looked at her with something soft in his eyes. "Maybe what you all need isn't this factory," he said. "Maybe it's respect. Maybe it's a fresh start." He handed Tommy a new toy, one of his own, a small handcrafted bike keychain he'd carried for years. "Keep this, kid. It reminds you that broken things can ride again." Weeks passed. The incident spread through town like wildfire. The factory was investigated, the abusive guards were fired, and the workers formed a small cooperative. With Hawk's help, they started making toys under a new name, Iron Hearts Playthings, a symbol of strength, resilience, and compassion. Tommy visited the workshop every day after school. He smiled again. His mother laughed again. And though Hawk and his bikers eventually rode off toward the horizon, the sound of their engines never left. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the world turned gold, Tommy looked up at the road where the bikers had vanished. "Mom," he asked softly, "do you think they'll come back?" Elena smiled, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. "Maybe," she said. "But even if they don't, they already left something behind." Tommy frowned. What? Courage, she said. And hope, the boy nodded, clutching the little bike keychain tight in his hand. Somewhere far away, the Iron Hearts rode on, chasing the wind, carrying with them the sound of justice that still echoed in the heart of a small boy and his brave mother. And though the world often forgot such moments, the road never did, because sometimes the toughest hearts beat for the gentlest reasons.